Hi, I'm Caroline Mitchell, canine behaviourist at Good Doggy. In this video, I want to talk about 3 things that I think every dog should be able to do. And 2 of them are so important they could actually save his life. So let's start with muzzle training. Lots of people wait until they have an emergency before they even consider training their dog to use a muzzle. But actually, it's a really good idea to introduce a muzzle to a dog just as a part of their ordinary socialization and training. It is beneficial to all dogs to learn to accept a muzzle. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean your dog is aggressive. It doesn't mean they need a label. It's just something you're going to get them used to. When dogs get scared, when they get in pain or whatever, they don't behave like their normal selves. And this means that stuff can happen that is very out of character for your dog. And this could result in them being aggressive or being defensive, and that could lead to an injury. So if your dog has an injury and he needs to go and see a vet, if he's already used to wearing a muzzle, then he'll accept that no problem. If your dog needs to be groomed and he's very conscious about his feet being handled or something like that, it means a groomer can work confidently with him and he can have that important grooming that he needs to have. Maybe he'll develop a fear, or there could be loads of other reasons. Perhaps he becomes a scavenger, or maybe there's a problem with something in your local area. There's, for example, a root that can grow and wash up on beaches, which is really poisonous for dogs. If that's something that happens a lot in your area, you might consider using a muzzle to stop your dog from picking it up because they really quite like the taste of it. But it's such a dangerous thing. So there's loads and loads and loads of reasons why a dog might suddenly need a muzzle. But nearly always that is not the time to introduce a muzzle. When a dog is already scared, we don't want to be trying to get a muzzle onto that dog because they will become really reactive to that, and that could cause a problem just on its own. So this is not something you're doing because you think you have a problem. This is something you're doing in case you do, because it makes it a much kinder experience for your own dog if they ever need it. And maybe they never will need it. And that's fine because they don't know what a muzzle is. They don't know that there's any kind of problem with it. They only know what we tell them. If we treat it like a toy, like a game, then that's what they'll think their muzzle is. It really does come down to us to kind of train them to understand what the muzzle is and, that it's not something that they need to be scared of. So how do you introduce a muzzle to your dog? Okay, the first thing is you need to get a properly fitting one. That means that the muzzle part should be loose around your dog's mouth. So he can open his mouth, he can bark, he can cry, he can pant, he can eat, he can drink, he can do all of those normal things, but without causing any kind of problems. So the muzzle itself will be a basket muzzle rather than a fabric muzzle. A fabric muzzle should only ever be used for really a very, very short period of time. So your vet might use a fabric muzzle if they have to give your dog a quick injection or quickly trim their nails. Any longer than that, though, you need to be using a basket muzzle because they need to be able to open their mouth and pant. So it will be loose around the muzzle area, but it will be close fitting around the neck. So they can't just get their paws behind it and just push it off. Once you've got a muzzle that's going to fit them really well, and you can get muzzles made to measure online, there's loads of places that do it, then you need to find something that's spreadable that your dog might like. So I often go with peanut butter or cream cheese, but your dog might have their own preferences. Maybe mayonnaise or something like butter or yogurt, anything like that that your dog really loves. And you're going to hold the muzzle like a bowl, and inside that muzzle, you're just going to smear a little bit of whatever it is that you've got to spread in there. So let's say you're going to use cream cheese. You're going to get a little bit of cream cheese, spread it on the inside. And then you're going to ask your dog to put his face in, and he will just lick that cream cheese out. No bother. Put some more in, let him lean in, have another lick, and just keep on doing like this. You're going to let him build up trust and confidence in the muzzle. You're going to repeat this as often as it needs until he's so comfortable doing it and he's really enjoying this game of putting his nose inside the muzzle and licking out the cream cheese. Only then try and close it behind him so that it's actually now securely on him. He only knows there's a problem if you tell him, and he only knows that you associate this with bad things if you give that away. This is just a toy and a game to him, but do take it slowly, let him build his confidence up, enjoy playing this game. And then one day, if he ever needs it, this is not something you need to be concerned about. And more importantly, it's not something that he needs to be concerned about. Number 2 is crate training. Every dog, I think, should be used to going into a crate. Even if you never plan to use one, there are lots of reasons why your dog might need to accept a crate later on in life. Groomers use them, vets use them, dog walkers often use them when they put the dogs into the back of their van. It's there to keep them safe. In the vets as well, keeps them safe, and in the groomers, they'll need to do that so they don't have dogs just running around all over the place. They'll go in there to get their hair dried and all kinds of things. So this is really important. Maybe it's not even your dog that might get an injury. Maybe you get an injury and you have to rely on dog boarders or friends or whatever else to look after him. Dog-friendly hotels and cottages often insist that dog crates are used. So if you want to take your dog away on holiday with you, he'll need to be crate trained. Lots of people try crate training with their puppies and give up on it quite quickly. So maybe this was you. Perhaps you tried this and your puppy just cried and cried and cried inside that crate. It's more likely that your puppy was objecting to being left on their own as opposed to being in the crate. Most puppies will be used to being confined whenever they come to you, so this should not have really come as a big surprise to them. It's most likely the loneliness part that has been associated. So if you're going to reintroduce a crate, then take that into consideration. You don't want to just pop your dog in there and just leave them for a couple of hours and hope they're going to cope. We're going to introduce it in a nice, slow way. As I said, 2 of these will save your life. The crate is not one, but it could save a huge amount of stress in the event of anything unexpected happening to you where you need to rely on somebody else or your dog becomes ill or whatever. So it's a really important thing for your dog to get used to. So that first time that door gets shut on him doesn't add more stress to a situation that might already be stressful, especially if something unexpected is happening. So how do we do this? First of all, you need to pick a crate that's the right size. Your dog should be able to sit up straight in it without his head touching the top, and he should be able to stretch out across it without touching each end. So it should feel very comfortable to him. It should be a good size that will fit him in. Sometimes if they're too big, then that can be a problem. So make sure you measure your dog and get the right size of crate to start with. Then you're going to set it up somewhere near where you often are, and you're going to make it really cozy for him. You know, what kind of places does he like to be? Does he like to bury himself inside, you know, lovely big soft beds, or does he prefer to be kind of sitting up proud? Whatever you think that he likes, then make that crate look like the best option in the room. You can add toys and treats to it, put a lick mat in there, and use long-lasting treats. You can hide treats among the blankets to make it more interesting and more fun for him. So there's lots of ways you can make this crate seem like a really appealing place, but you're not going to rush this. Don't try and close the door on him. Just let him get used to being in and out of there. He's going to learn to trust this crate as being a safe place for him to go. If we try and shut that door too quickly, he'll quickly lose trust in it and he'll start to really worry about going inside the crate. And then you're going to have to start trying to undo what you've done. Unless you're trying to reintroduce a crate, if you're starting from scratch, your dog has no idea what this crate is. And we want to make sure that he only goes forward and thinks it's a good place. But even if you're reintroducing one, just take your time. It's just going to take longer to build that trust. And it means that you don't try and close that door for much, much longer than you would if the dog had never been in a crate before. So we're going to make it super comfortable, put loads of lovely things inside there, and we're going to get him used to just coming and going. This could take days or weeks. It really will just take as long as it takes. But when he's happy in there and occasionally he's resting in there, only then might you consider actually shutting the door. And when you do this the first time, don't leave him. As I said, a lot of puppies associate their crate with being left, and it was the being left that was the problem, not the crate itself. So you're going to stay beside him. You're going to shut the door. You might even give him one of his favorite long-lasting chews, put that in the crate with him or his lick mat, and you're going to sit with him for a wee while, maybe 5 or 10 minutes. Or if he's really enjoying his time in there and he's eating his chew, perhaps a bit longer. Don't push your luck though. That's the key to this. We don't want to break that trust. He needs to know this is a safe place. It's a nice place to be. It's a place that he would choose to go if he didn't think that there was something wrong. So you're going to just build this up slowly and slowly and slowly. And when he's very good at just sitting beside you, only then might you consider trying to leave him and just build that time up slowly. So the first time you might leave him alone in his crate, maybe you just run out to the bins and come back again. 2 or 3 minutes in there is probably going to be enough the first time. See how well he coped. Using a dog cam can be really good for this. I use these a lot for dogs with separation anxiety. You can watch him on the camera. and you can see, did his behavior change over that 2 or 3 minutes that you were gone for? If he still seems very relaxed, then try and double that. Maybe go to 6 minutes. And if he still feels relaxed at that, double it again. And eventually you're going to build up a kind of a usable time. But if you're just going to use this as a way to introduce it to him for emergencies, there's no rush here. Take your time, and eventually he'll be able to be in there for a long time without really worrying. He'll just go to sleep like he should and wait and rest until you come back to him. So the third thing that I think every dog should know, and this is probably the most important thing, and that is a good, reliable recall. Even if you don't ever plan to let your dog off their lead, although I do think you should, I think there are so many benefits people miss out on when they don't let their dogs off the lead in safe places. We'll talk about that another day. But even if you don't plan to let them off the lead and have that extra freedom, their life could very much depend on having a good recall. You just never know. You cannot control the world around you. Their lead could break. You could have a car accident and somebody could open the door, they could run out and escape. Your fence might blow down. Somebody might make a hole, somebody might leave your gate open. The front door might accidentally be left open and they might get a fright and run out. Anything could happen at any time that you are not in control of. A well-rehearsed recall is absolutely vital. To be able to call your dog back in an emergency and get them to come to you is absolutely vital. So many people avoid teaching their dog a recall because they think, I'll never let my dog off the lead, so it won't ever be a problem for me. Well, maybe one day it might be. Maybe that long extendable lead that you're using might snap, or maybe the lead that you're holding, you might drop, and your dog's running off after something else because he's never learned this skill. And then when you try to call him, then you're just talking to the wind. So a very, very good recall. And I don't mean just knowing how to do a recall. I do mean a very, very good recall. I talk about a well-rehearsed recall. Recall is not just a command or a cue that we just teach our dogs one day and then they just know it. That's not how recall works. We need to build them up and we need to teach them it and rehearse it enough that it becomes instinctive. So how do you do that? Well, shameless plug, you could enroll on my 30-day recall course, and you'll get step-by-step instructions for 30 days. I will guide you through the whole process. You'll get something every single day to do, loads of tips as well. And by the end of that, you'll know how to really teach your dog a reliable recall, how to deal with distractions, different locations, and all that kind of stuff. And you'll know why recall needs much more work, because I'll talk you all through it. But essentially, what you need to do is you need to start small. You need to just teach the command in a really small way, and then you just build on it. You introduce distractions really gradually. You go to different places and you repeat, repeat, repeat. There is nothing more important with recall than just practice. As I say, knowing how to do a recall is not the same as how to do a reliable recall under any circumstances. So distractions are really important. You have to keep rehearsing this until it is absolutely instinctive for your dog. Even if you never ever choose to let them off the lead, if your dog has an instinctive recall, that lead breaks in the park, you're just going to call him, he's going to come running right back, and there's going to be no drama and no stress. And that's going to be, time very much well spent. I don't know about your area, but where I am, we have lots of local groups which are set up specifically to help people find lost and missing pets. And there are daily dogs just going missing just because they got a fright and they ran off and the lead got dropped, or their harness broke, or a clip broke, or they ran out the front door, or the dog found a hole in the garden that you didn't even know was there. There are so many reasons why your dog might get away from you, which weren't your own choice, that all of these dogs could have benefited from a really super recall. So those are my top 3: muzzle train, crate train, recall train. What would you add to this list? That's only 3. Tell me in the comments. I'd love to know what you think should be added onto the top things that your dog should learn. Take care for now. Bye-bye.